All right, welcome to Pure Truth podcast. Your host and producer, Lucas Bealey. Um, what in the world? Okay, so sorry about that. Don't forget to like, share, comment, um, hit the subscribe button, and then ring the bell notification so you get notified when I go live. Um, you read, if you're seeing this, you read. Yes, you read that correctly. The headline correctly for this live stream. Here in a second, I'm going to explain how I have found evidence um, that I am finding very good evidence that society, humans actually started in uh, America, what the land that we call America. Now, I'm going to explain that, but first, I have to, like always, um, I have to promote my book, right? It's my very first book that I did, my very first book. Um, and so, yeah, it's also the very first book that I published. I self published it on Amazon. So that's the only place that you can get it is on Amazon. So if you click that link that I have on the top in the comment section, you can go to Amazon. It will lead you to Amazon to my book. You can buy it. Beauty, a comedy series, season one. Season one is the only season that is out right now. I do plan to, I actually am writing season two. And I know they say that all the time, but it's true. Um, there is going to be other seasons that eventually will collectively all together make a series. So this is the only one out right now, but I'm working on, season two, and there will be other seasons. Now, the other two links are to YouTube live streams that I did earlier today. And to kind of help you put the pieces together, um, perhaps, so you can watch this live stream, then you can watch the other two that I did, um, because in the other two, I talked a little bit about um, the as I shuffle things around here and grab my notes. So the in the those two YouTube live streams that I did that I have linked in the chat. I was talking about how it's possible, and at the time I was like, well, it's possible. And I will say really quick that, yeah, there's still more work to be done, but I'm going to share something in this video that's probably going to blow your mind. So, yeah, going back to what I was talking about, in the other videos, I shared how there's archaeologists that are also divers. They found at Lake Mendota here in Wisconsin, they found canoes that date back, date all the way back to 4,500 years. Now, if you're a creation, now obviously, if you're an evolutionist, you're probably going to have a hard time following because you believe that the world is billions of years old. Well, that's not so. I mean, I could, I have more arguments for that, but which those are in other videos, and that's not what I'm talking about here. But if you are a creationist, you believe that the world is about 5,000 to 6,000 years old, and that the flood happened about 1,060-ish years after the first human being created, after Adam and Eve. So what I see from the archaeologists, really quick, what they think happened here is that there's some kind of Native American tribe that lived in those times, that they had these canoes for fishing, which, yeah, they probably, if that's true, yeah, if there's people that lived here 4,500 years ago, they probably had canoes for fishing. I can see that. But then they go on to say that they sunk these canoes underwater because that's where they found them, was underwater. And so they're saying that they sunk these canoes underwater to preserve them, during the winter months. Well, when you sink a canoe, and these canoes would be wooden, one, the water would, or the wood would soak up the water. And so, yeah, when you pull it back out and let the sun dry it out, of course it's going to dry out, but there's still going to be some spots that are not going to get fully dried out. And so it's going to create mold inside the wood. And then it's also going to age that wood. And there's probably also going to be weak spots. We know that, like, if you're somebody that stains wood, you know that maybe you get the surface wet with water before you stain, but you don't submerge the wood before you stain. It's just not a very good idea to submerge wood. Getting water wet on the surface, I can see that, how that can help preserve the wood, but not if you sink so I can see if you get the surface of the canoe wet with water, I could see that, how that could possibly preserve it or help preserve it. I don't see how sinking a canoe will really help preserve the wood. But then also too, you got to think, like, well, does it really make sense for them to sink a canoe just to preserve it? When that's all you have to do is flip the canoe over and find covering. So how do you find covering 4,500 years ago? Well, in Wisconsin, you have lots of pine trees. Pine trees are great to, build cover from, like, wind and snow. So really, think about it. If you have a canoe that's made out of wood, all you have to do is flip it over and make some kind of, covering, some sort of shelter that's going to keep the snow off of the canoe. I mean, that's really all you have to do. So why would you waste time sinking the canoe? That doesn't make sense. But then also what doesn't make sense is excuse me. Also what doesn't make sense is, have you ever tried to sink a canoe? Even a canoe that would have been made 4,500 years ago is going to be pretty hard to sink. The most canoes now, I would say, you can probably carry close to 700, between 700 to 900 pounds. I mean, give or take, depending on the canoe, before it starts to sink. Now, obviously, that's going to be a lot less from a canoe that is made, 4,500 years ago, because they were a little bit different, right? But I guarantee you, it's still going to take somewhere between 300 to 400, maybe even 500 pounds before that canoe starts to sink. And so try lifting that out of the water. You're not going to be able to do that. So I disagree with their theory. However, I still find it unique how they have been able to date these canoes 4,500 years old. As a creationist, well, as a Christian, I guess you would also label me as a creationist, because I'm not in the field of science. I have not studied science. I'm not in the field of science. I'm not in the field of any. I'm just a average American citizen. Um, that has a head on their shoulders. You know, that's able to think for themselves and do research for myself and actually find answers for myself. Um, and so, but yeah, I'm not a scientist by any means. But let's look at the evidence. What does the evidence tell us? The evidence tells us that these are canoes found in Lake Mendota that are dated to be 4,500 years old. Can somebody say hallelujah? And so, as a creationist, as a Christian, I only have one belief, that is proof, that not only people lived in this land before the flood, but possible proof that that's where we came from. Because again, you go back to where the earth is only around 5,000 to 6,000 years old. The flood happened, um, you know, after like we've been here for 1,060 something years before the flood. And so 4,500 years puts us pretty close to where the flood happened. So you got to look at that evidence, and they have not, nobody has found canoes anywhere else around the world that date back to 4,500 years. So that's part of my evidence, is that 4,500 years, I mean, that puts us pretty close to the flood. And the thing is, these dates, who knows? They could still be older. You know, like another 1,000 to 1,500 years or something like that older, give or take, you know. So that's part of my evidence right there. But then I'll go a step further. I researched where the ark landed. So the ark landed in Turkey, in Mount, and I don't know how to pronounce it, at some kind of mount in Turkey. So what I just found, if you take a globe like this, and you find Turkey, right? You find Turkey, you put your pencil right where, so that would be right where the ark landed, right? So you take this middle, let's see if I can try to do this. Take that middle piece. This right here is going to help you draw a straight line. That's what you're doing, is drawing a straight line from here over to the Americas. And I don't think I'll be able to draw that straight line for you here on camera, but you can do this at home. If you have a globe like this, find where the ark landed. Take this middle piece, like get your finger or a pencil right where the ark landed. Put this middle piece right there. Don't move your finger until you start. Drag the middle piece as you turn the globe. Sorry, like I'm gonna have to try to do this a different way or something. Now I'm going the opposite way here. I'm so bad at this. Sorry, guys. Let me get that. There. Now we're going in the right direction. I'm not moving my finger. And, oh, does that look like it could be where the Wisconsin and Illinois border, right there? That's like the Wisconsin Illinois border. So if you did that, again, you go back, you know, you land, boom. And so now that's with my really fat finger, and that's, terrible. Actually, I didn't do a very good job, displaying that. But if you follow at home, take a pencil, take something that has a sharp edge. You're going to get a lot better accurate reading. And this is what I did. I took that pencil, this pencil right here, I placed it at the mouth of where the ark landed. And I drew a straight line over to the United States. And I landed, guys, at the Wisconsin-Illinois border. Now, I did the same thing starting at Lake Mendota, or, relevantly, close, because on a globe like that, you're not going to see where Lake Mendota is, but around that area, starting there. And I did the same thing. A straight line. And guess where I landed? Just a little bit north of where the ark landed in Turkey. Just a little bit north. What am I saying here? I'm saying that, well, we know that a dead boat in water can only go one direction. It can only go one direction. So a boat that has no motor, that has no way to turn, doesn't have a back fin where it, it's going to go one direction and one direction only. It's what I'm saying. It's only going to go one direction. Now, it may, because it's dead in water, it may stray off course from that straight path, maybe 100 to 200 miles, right? But see, that's what a dead boat in water does. One, it's just going to go kind of in a straight path, not, directly, because obviously it's going to stray a little bit. And my guess is probably going to stray anywhere from 100 miles to 200 miles. And if you draw a line each way, if you draw a straight line from where the ark landed to the United States, you're landing around the Wisconsin-Illinois border, which, I mean, I don't know exactly how many miles that is from Lake Mendota, but I mean, it's like within 100-mile radius. I mean, it's within that range, I'm sure. But then if you do the same thing, if you start at Lake Mendota and you draw a straight line to where the ark landed, well, you're going to end up just a little bit north. And that's what I'm saying is I'm seeing the exact how many miles it could have strayed off course. And so that's what I'm saying is the arc starting at Lake Mendota, going on a straight path, might have strayed off a little, but only like 100 miles or so. And, because for the most part, I mean, you draw a straight line, you're gonna come to Turkey to where the ark landed. That's my evidence. That is my evidence. So what I'm saying is, let's think about this. If we have canoes that have been found in Lake Mendota, 4,000, that can date back to 4,500 years. Okay. There is a possibility that Noah probably built the ark fairly close, fairly near Lake Mendota, and the ark launched from Lake Mendota, traveled to where it landed in Turkey. And so guys, I mean, I know that there's still work to be done, but at the end of the day, I mean, come on. Are you seriously going to ignore what I just showed you? I mean, I know if you're an evolutionist, this doesn't really, you don't understand, but, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you arguments to why. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to do that here on this live stream. But there is, I do have a schedule where I do have, on Wednesday mornings is called Science Day. Or no. When is Science Day? I forget. Yes. Wednesday mornings on my podcast is Science Day. And that's most likely that where I'm going to go over the evidence for the Genesis flood. Evidence for a 5,000-year-old planet, not millions. So if you're an evolutionist, you might want to join me then. But, because that's where I'm going to go over evidence for the flood and for, Genesis, being accurate on the years of this world have been here. I'm not going to do that on this live stream. I tried to pull myself up, and I kind of almost took the table with me. So, I mean, let's just follow the evidence. Following the evidence, it's looking like. Now, I'm not saying that America is the Garden of Eden, right? Because Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. But I am saying that it's most likely that that's where humanity started. It's kind of looking like that is where humanity started, is in the land that we call America, in Lake Mendota. So, and like, of course, there's still work to be done, but what I'm saying is it is looking like that is where we came from, not Mesopotania, not the Middle East. We have been lied to, saying that we came from the Middle East, that we came from Mesopotania. No. If we came from Mesopotania, and the flood came, the ark is not going to land in Turkey. That's where they say the ark landed, is in Turkey, is on that mount whatever, like I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but somewhere in Turkey, that's where the ark landed. And so it is unrealistic for us to have started somewhere in Mesopotania if the ark landed in Turkey. That's unrealistic. The flood happened for, there were floodwaters. The earth was underwater for at least 7 to 8 months, 6, 7, 8 months. Maybe, some people even might say a year. Well, a boat, let's think about this, a ginormous boat that has no motor, that really does not have a way to steer it, is sitting dead in the water. How long do you think it's going to take from that boat to travel from America to Turkey? But then if the flood, if we started somewhere in Mesopotania, which is, somewhere relevant to, the Middle East or whatever, and we started there, I mean, it's not going to take long. Like, look, have you looked at the globe? Have you looked at a map? Turkey is pretty close to where Mesopotania, the land that we would call Mesopotania. It's pretty close. And so if you're traveling in a boat that's dead in the water for 7 months, or maybe even longer, you're not going to land in Turkey. I'm sorry. You're going to sail past it. You're going to sail past Turkey. That's not going to happen if the boat took launch in the Americas, in the land that we call America, a 7 to a year journey. Think about that. That's a reasonable amount of, journey time for a boat that's dead in the water that cannot steer. That is a reasonable amount of time for it to travel to, from well, the land that we call America to the land that we call Turkey. And I just showed you like a boat that is dead in the water with no way to steer it is mainly going to go one direction. It might stray from that straight line a little bit, maybe 100 miles or so, but it's mainly going to go a straight path. And so, I mean, let's start using logic. Let's start, I mean, why are we playing around with our imagination trying to find the answers? Let's stop playing around with our imaginations and let's start using logic. Now, evolutionists will say, well, we do. No, you do not. You play around with your imaginations. You evolutionists let your imagination run wild. And then you say that, oh, that's that, you call it a theory, because you're trying to use a reasonable, big word to try to get people to listen to you. But what is a theory? A theory, you don't know if a theory is true. A theory is not truth. A theory is a thought up imagination. Imagination thought up. Yeah, you kind of use science, but then you use your imagination to try to find answers. And that's basically what a theory is. You're not using logic. You're not using your brain. You're using your imagination and just letting it run wild if you're an evolutionist. And what creationists are trying to get the world to see is if you just do the study yourself and sit down and think and use logic and consider every possibility, that you're going to find evidence for the flood. You're going to find evidence for Genesis. But nobody wants to believe that because they want to erase Genesis. Well, guess what? I know that's the first time that I pressed that button. But guess what? Guess what else? I've been on fire for this whole live stream. Because, seriously, you gotta, don't listen to the evolutionists. Do the study yourself. Look at the evidence yourself. Don't look at the evidence that the evolutionists are showing you. Look at the evidence yourself. Do the research yourself. That's all that I have done. I'm not a scientist, but I don't have to be. I don't need to be spoon-fed. That is what the world has done, is they have like gooby gooby goo gooby goo 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 goo. I want to be spoon-fed by these evolutionists, and they're buying their crap. They are buying their crap that they feed them because they allow them to feed them whatever they want. Feed yourself. Pick up a spoon, dip it in the cereal bowl, put it to your mouth, and take a bite. And what I'm saying by that is do the research yourself. Do the research yourself. It is not far-fetched to believe that there was a global flood. It is not that far-fetched to believe that the earth is only 5,000 to 6,000 years old. But if you cannot do it yourself, what brain do you have? I mean, you do have a brain, right? You have a brain. We all have a brain. You don't have to be a scientist to figure that out. You don't have to be a scientist to do the research. Get out there in the field. Stop letting them come up with the answers and spoon feed you. You have a brain. We all have a brain. We can all think for ourselves. We are not idiots. And here's another thing. We do not need AI. I mean, we are more intelligent than what you think. You know, if we go the route of AI, it's going to have us think that we're not intelligent at all. But we are more intelligent than what you would think. You just have to do the work yourself. You have a brain. Don't become somebody that needs to rely on being spoon-fed or rely on AI. I mean, come on. Go back, rewatch this, watch the other videos that I have. I have found evidence that we have started in the land that we call the United States, and that the ark went from the United States, traveled to Turkey, then from there, you know, the three sons of Noah went out into the world and bore children, and those children bore children, and eventually we came to the Tower of Babel, all of us coming to the Tower of Babel. Then God separated our language, and we went out from there out into the world and multiplied. That's not that hard to believe. But here's the thing. One, you have to have an open mind. You also have to have an open heart. But you also have to do the research yourself. and you have to apply logic to that research. You cannot when you do the research, you cannot let your mind run wild with ideas. You got to follow the evidence. And I guarantee you, if you follow the evidence, use logic, do the research yourself, you're going to find evidence for Genesis and the Genesis flood and all the other stories of the Bible. You're going to find that one, the Bible is history. It is a history book. There's a lot of people that say, oh, well, the Bible's not a history book. It's not history. Baloney. I mean, look at the Israelites. The Israelites, are they not Jews that were in the Bible? Doesn't not the Bible give us history on the Jews and their inheritance and their travels? Oh, I think it does. That's my proof right there. Do I need any other proof? I mean, there's people that claim that the Bible is not a history book. Well, that is history right there. If you go to the Middle East and go find Israel, look, Israel is God's people and Israel is in the Bible. And the Bible tells historic events of what happened to the Israelites and his people. I forgot that I had that button. Drop that mic. Exactly. Drop the mic. So there's evidence that the Bible is the Word of God. And there's evidence that the Book of Enoch is the Word of God as well. That's an argument for another day. But, you know, I have arguments that suggest that even the Book of Enoch is the Word of God. I'm not gonna. I mean, that's another argument for another day. But I know I haven't said like, share, subscribe, ring the bell notification. I've just been like too excited, like too on point of what I'm talking about to, like stop in the middle and remind people. So I know, I mean, this may not get very many reviews because that's for whatever reason. When people are watching a live stream or whatever, to keep them interested for whatever reason, you have to keep on reminding them to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell notification. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't really make any sense because, if you're killing it on a live stream, why do you have to keep reminding people of that. I mean, of course, you got to keep reminding people of that, because if they don't, they're not going to do it. But I mean, that's just, I know that's something that I should have done. And I know that that's something that gets people to stay on, and, brings more viewers. I mean, but I will say this, come on, guys. People on YouTube, I mean, they shouldn't have to say like, share, subscribe to keep the viewers interested. I mean, if you're scrolling through the live streams and like, if there's a live stream that you're watching that you're like, man, this person's killing it, stay on, give them support, and, don't get off. Now, I understand if you're not interested in a live stream, I mean, you can at least give it 5 to 10 minutes, somebody 5 to 10 minutes at least. But I understand if this is not your goatee, I mean, if this is just not your thing, I understand that. But I mean, there's people that talk about these subjects, and they're making a killing doing it. So, I mean, I know people that do get on and watch me live. I mean, I'm just going to say it. You probably could, like, if you watch somebody else, basically talking about the same subjects that I'm talking about, and they're making a killing, and you will watch their whole live stream, well, you're probably somebody that can give me the same time, right? I mean, and I know not always, but I mean, you can give me 30, 40 minutes, you know, um, because here's the thing, like, I shouldn't have to constantly remind you to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification to keep you interested in what I'm talking about. Now, yeah, I should use that to remind you to do that, because if I don't, then you're probably not going to do that. But, like, I have noticed when in videos that I've done that, I have noticed a bigger view, like more views. That's something that I've noticed, is when I do that more, I get more views. But I'm here to say right now, I mean, come on, I mean, I shouldn't have to get that, or have to do that just to get more views, or keep you on longer. I mean, that's just, I mean, I don't know what else to say there, but I mean, and I know it's going to be hard anyways, because I'm still fairly new. I only have about 180 subscribers, right? But what I'm saying is, it's like, come on. I mean, it shouldn't have to be that difficult, right? And what I'm saying is the viewers are making it a little more difficult because you're not allowing, like you're not staying on. I see you on my screen, pop on and then like pop off. And what I'm saying is, like, if you can give most live streams your time, you can give me your time as well. I mean, that is if you are interested in the topics that I'm talking about. I mean, like, I'm just going to be honest. And that's not me. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm not trying to pick on any viewers. I appreciate all my viewers. I appreciate every single one that views my live stream. So I'm not trying to be a grumpy old grandpa that's just grumpy all the time. But I do kind of want to say that, be honest and tell you the truth. Like, it kind of is disappointing to see so many kind of get on, get off, get on, get off. And so, one, if you can stay on for at least 5 to 10 minutes, if you don't like what I'm, talking about, whatever, after that, if you want to keep scrolling, that's fine. But if you're somebody that is, you're just popping on my channel, give me at least 5-10 minutes of your time. And especially if you're somebody that, you're like, hey, this person has a lot of knowledge, or this person, they know what they're talking about. Um and also don't look at my YouTube channel as like a corporate channel. I mean, this isn't really a corporate. Now, I named this I named my channel Pure Truth Podcast because I think of myself as a podcast. I think of my channel as a podcast. So that's the reason why I named it a podcast. But then I also named it Pure Truth Podcast because I want to tell truth. I want to tell you the truth, right? I want to go up against those lies that worldview has created and give you the truth of all things. So that's why I called it Pure Truth Podcast. But please do not see me as a brand. This, I mean, it's like, please don't see me as a brand. And matter of fact, okay, if you see me as a brand, don't skip over, right? Like, because there's other brands on YouTube that would be a podcast, right? There's other podcasts out there that is kind of more seen as a brand, and they're killing it on YouTube. So if they're killing it on YouTube, well, like, why Why can't I do that also? And so, I mean, that's the bottom line is it shouldn't really be this hard for anybody. So we need to do a little bit better as viewers, to be a little more supportive of the people that we are watching that we think are killing it, even if they are new. Now, and yeah, I will say for a new user, let's maybe not skip over them just because they don't have that many subscribers. Let's, listen to them, right? Just because they're not a big channel yet. Like, look, I may not be a big channel yet, but don't wait for the wave to get going before you jump on board. Jump on board right now. Jump on this channel right now. Right now. Do not wait for the wave to come. Do not wait for the wave to come. If you wait for the wave to come, well, then guess what? You're somebody that has to play catch up. You kind of have to go back to older videos. Now, I understand if you're somebody that, you don't know this channel exists, then you don't know that this channel exists. Because there's thousands of channels that I don't know that exist. And so it's kind of hard to follow a channel that you don't know exists, right? So obviously, there's, there is that. But what I'm saying is if you are somebody that has found this channel, and you're like, well, no, that sounds pretty small, I'm not going to subscribe because it's kind of small. Well, what I'm going to say then to you is don't wait for my channel for the wave to come from my channel, because then you're somebody that's most likely probably gonna to kind of get caught up. You're gonna have to go back and I mean, you just, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you are somebody that has came across, now if you came across my channel and you don't like what I'm talking about, then that's also, like, you don't like it. But if you're somebody that has came across my channel and you're like, well, that's kind of small, I don't know if I want to subscribe, don't let that stop you from subscribing. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell notification so that you are notified. So that you're notified when I go live. And if you're somebody that's giving another podcast or whatever, or somebody else's live stream, your time, and you're somebody that has come across mine and you're like, oh yeah, this is, pretty good what he's talking about, you could stick around for a while, right? You can hit that like, you can share this with 3 people. I mean, sharing it with 3 people is not really a whole lot. But if everybody shared with 3 people, well, then it's going to go viral, right? And again, like if you're a viewer and you're liking what I'm talking about, why wouldn't you want to share with 3 people? So, I mean, and here's the thing. I know I'm over an hour on this live stream, but guess what? How many hours do you sit and watch short films? I mean, you will sit and watch short film after 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 short film for hours. If you can sit there, watch that many short films for hours, you can watch a live stream for an hour or a little bit more. I mean, like, come on, let's be realistic here. Let's be honest, right? And that's where I'm at right now. I know I need to be closing, and I'm gonna close. I'm gonna come to my closing statement here soon. In fact, actually, I think I'm gonna get to that right now. Before I do, actually, I'm just gonna remind you: like, share, subscribe, or like, share with 3 people, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Because if I don't say that, you're not gonna do it. But I shouldn't have to say it to get you to stay on, right? I mean, let's just be honest. Anyways, hope that you do that. Hope you hit the like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. And comment, right? And then also click on those links. Click on those links. Those links are there for you to click on. They're there for you to click on. Especially the one on Amazon, because that's where my very first published book is. Well, my future books too. My future books will also be on Amazon. But if you click that link, that will lead you to Beauty A Comedy Series Season 1. Again, this is the only season that is out right now. I'm working on Season 2. So yes, that tells you that there will be Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, Season 6, yada, yada, yada. That will eventually create a comedy series. So go on Amazon, click that link. I know that you want to. I know that you are curious. I know the world probably has not seen a comedy series done in book form. We have watched a lot of comedy series on television before, but how many comedy series have been put in a book? Check it out. Check out Beauty, a comedy series. It's hilarious. I guarantee you're going to laugh. You're also going to find a little bit of my testimony. and a little bit of God taking me on my journey, taking me out of my Egypt and bringing me on my journey to my promised land. And then also my testimony and other, smaller events that are kind of, small tales of my life. That's why I called it Bewley. That's why I named it after my last name. But it is a comedy. So it is going to make you laugh. So click on that Amazon link, buy it. Also click on the YouTube links to the other videos and watch them so they can kind of help you um, on where I'm going. I mean, I gave you a lot of information in this live stream. Those videos are kind of linked. You can, like, those videos are linked to this live. I mean, the topic of what I talk about is, I mean, you watch this live stream, then you click those links, watch them. The topic that I talk about is all linked together. That's why I put those links in the comment section, because they are live streams that I did earlier today, talking about the same topic. This one, however, has just a little more evidence for America, or the land that we call America, being where humanity started. So check that out. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that ring notification. Check those links out. See you tomorrow.